Welcome to Storytime with Killian Flynn. Today's story is The House That Waits, an action horror thriller by Killian Flynn. The house on Blackthorn Hill had been abandoned for as long as anyone could remember. A decayed Victorian mansion. Its once grand facade had been swallowed by nature, vines twisting around broken windows, the roof sagging like a dying beast. Nobody ever went near it, not because of superstition, because of what happened inside. For decades, families who moved into the house disappeared without a trace. No blood, no struggle, just gone. Now it stood empty, a void waiting to be filled. And tonight, it would have visitors. Jace Turner was an urban explorer, a thrill seeker with a knack for finding places no sane person would dare enter. But this wasn't just any abandoned house. This one called to him. "You're seriously going through with this?" his friend Nate asked, adjusting the camera strapped to his chest. "It's just a house," Jace shrugged. That's what the last people thought. Jace ignored him and pushed open the rotting front door. The air inside was thick, like stepping into another world. Dust hung in the air like tiny ghosts. The wallpaper peeled in long, curling strips, exposing the skeletal wood beneath. Then, a sound. Soft, barely audible. A breath. Jace stiffened. "Did you hear that?" Nate nodded slowly. "Yeah." They weren't alone, but nothing moved. They crept forward, their flashlights flickering. Then the front door slammed shut behind them, and the house came alive. Jace spun around. The door that had been wide open was gone, replaced by a solid wall of rotting wood. "This isn't possible," Nate whispered, his voice tight with panic. Jace pressed his hands against the wall, pushing, feeling for seams. There was nothing, just cold, dead wood. Then, footsteps from upstairs, slow, deliberate, coming toward them. Jace raised his flashlight. The stairs spiraled upward into thick darkness. Something moved in the shadows, a shape, tall, watching, waiting. "Who's there?" Jace called out. No response. Then, a whisper, soft, almost gentle. "Welcome home." The temperature plummeted. Jace's breath turned to frost. Then the walls shifted. The wallpaper peeled back, revealing pulsing, living flesh beneath. The house wasn't abandoned. It was hungry, and they had just stepped into its mouth. Nate grabbed Jace's arm. "We have to get out of here, now!" They ran, sprinting toward what should have been the back door, only to find another solid wall where it had been. The layout of the house was changing. The hallways stretched, doors vanished. Rooms they had never entered appeared out of nowhere. Then, a child's laughter echoed down the hall, high-pitched, wrong. A girl stood at the end of the corridor, dressed in white. Her hair matted, her face obscured by shadows. Her head twitched, and then she moved, not walked, glided, straight toward them. Jace grabbed Nate's wrist and yanked him into the nearest doorway. They slammed it shut behind them. Darkness swallowed them. Then, a voice just inches away. "You can't hide in here." Jace turned, and something grabbed him. Jace screamed as something pulled him backward. Hands, cold and wrong, fingers too long, nails jagged like broken glass, dug into his arms. Nate grabbed him, yanking hard. "Let him go!" The grip loosened, for just a second, long enough for Jace to break free. They ran, past moving walls, past breathing shadows. Then they found it. A door, different from the others. It hummed, a heartbeat. Jace didn't hesitate. He pushed it open, and they stepped into the past. The house was new, no decay, no rot, Warm candlelight flickered in chandeliers. The scent of fresh-baked bread filled the air. Then they saw them. The family. A mother, a father, 2 children. Frozen mid-dinner, eyes wide with horror. Jace stepped closer, and the mother's head snapped toward him. Her mouth tore open wider than it should have been. "You shouldn't be here." The scene shattered like glass, and Jace and Nate were falling. They hit the floor hard, gasping for breath. The house was different now, no longer a Victorian mansion, but a twisting nightmare of corridors and pulsing flesh. A voice echoed from the walls. "It's been so long since we had guests." Shadows slithered toward them, forming figures. The previous owners, the lost families. Their faces melted, their bodies contorted, mouths locked open in endless screams. The house had kept them here. Jace grabbed Nate. "We're not staying." They ran, dodging the grasping arms that reached from the walls. The house fought back, the hallways twisting, doors vanishing, the ceiling collapsing behind them. Then, the front door appeared, wide open. Jace didn't think. He grabbed Nate and leapt through it. They hit the ground outside. The house screamed, and then it was gone, vanished, like it had never existed. Jace and Nate lay in the dirt, panting, shaking. Nate turned to him. "We made it." Jace wasn't so sure. He lifted his shirt and saw the handprints burned into his skin. The house had let them go, but it had marked them, and one day it would call them back. Thank you for listening to Storytime with Killian Flynn. If you like his stories, go ahead and read some of his books. Check out his cause, bio, links, and description. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe to this podcast.